Hello everybody, we are back here on The Hunter Call the Wild, and today is the start of a brand new series. I put up a poll recently asking you guys if you would like to see this, and a lot of you said yes. So, basically what we're going to be doing is taking a look at various loadouts that we have used in the history of Call of the Wild, because there's been a lot of changes over the years that have caused us to switch up our loadouts, whether it be brand new guns being added, or just different guns getting a buff or a nerf, or different animals being added, different scoring system changes and stuff like that. But our loadouts have changed quite a bit throughout the years, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the old loadouts that we used to use a lot here on Layton Lakes. And the first loadout of this series is going to be what I call the 2019 Layton Loadout, and it consists of the Solokin, which was the primary rifle for all the deer species. You'd use it for the blacktail, the whitetail, and then you would use the 338 for the elk and the moose, and then you have the 243 for the coyotes, and I believe you also use the Solokin for the black bear, if I'm not mistaken, and then 22 for the ducks, obviously. But this was the loadout that I used to run with, and a lot of people did the same thing because we didn't have guns like the 300, we didn't have the M1 or the 30-06 or the 303. There was a lot of guns that weren't a thing back then, so this Mosin right here was what we used quite a bit, and it was always a very awesome weapon to take down deer with. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump into multiplayer and see what we can end up finding and taking down with all of these weapons. We also aren't really going to be focusing on specific time frames for the servers that we join either. We're just going to join servers and kind of just hunt whatever's at that time, so we're not necessarily limited to certain species, because I want to make it so we can take a variety of things and use all the weapons in this loadout. So we're going to try and take at least one of every animal if I can. I don't know if we'll be able to run across some coyotes or not, but if we see a decent coyote, we'll take it. If not, then I mean, it is what it is, but we'll try to take as many species as we can. I also did want to mention that this loadout right here was actually a suggestion from a viewer. Well, not the entire loadout, but using the Mosin on Layton Lakes was a suggestion from one of the viewers of the channel, and I figured we might as well toss that comment up right now to give him credit for that. But it's an awesome idea, and I'm excited to use it, and that's kind of what sparked this whole idea of going back and looking at old loadouts that we used to use in the history of the game. Well, since this guy's not gonna flee out of here, I guess we might as well go ahead and use the 22 on him. It seems like he's either frozen or they're doing that thing the rabbits always do and just not running off. But this guy actually has a chance at diamond being a 5 to 6 kg. Unfortunately, it is a pretty small one for that weight at 5.70, but that is a kill with the 22, which that's something that we actually still use quite often. They need to add another gun to compete with the 22. I think a 17 HMR would be great to see in the game, because we've been using the 22 for years at this point. It hasn't really had any competition in a very long time, so it'd be cool to see something like that. That may be a pretty small level 4 elk, but that is actually the first level 4, and that's actually a better 4, so I guess we'll take that guy instead. But we're gonna go ahead and smoke him with the 338. This used to be really the only gun that you could use on the elk and the moose and a lot of the larger species in the game, because it was really the only large rifle besides the 7mm. I mean, some people still use the 7mm, and I did for a little bit, but it just didn't have that knockdown power that the 338 had, so a lot of times the 7mm would not get used for stuff like the moose or the elk, and the 338 was the go-to. Well, I may not have been able to get that elk because it ran off in the brush, but that is a level 5 blacktail deer, and there's no way that I can pass that up. We gotta go chase that guy down, because that actually looks like it might be the big rack, and it's been a bit since I've seen a good big rack in multiplayer. I think we got one off of single player not that long ago, but I haven't seen one in multi in a while. I just can't tell from this range if that's what it actually is. I think it is, but we're gonna try and get him to stop and get a shot into him. That's a beautiful buck right there. He's about 300 meters away now. He's still calm somehow. I guess we'll try to run up closer and get him to move, but oh my gosh, that's a lot of moose too. There's just animals all over this spot. I'm so happy that they did that rework of Layton, because it's really made a lot of these areas come to life that didn't really used to have a lot of stuff in them. And did we finally get him? There we go. We finally got him to stop. And it actually doesn't look like it's the big wreck anymore now. We're going to go ahead and use the Argus for this shot because it is pretty far away. And once he goes broadside, we'll take the shot. Now, we probably could take a frontal shot, but with it being 300 meters away, I don't know if I want to risk it. I'm just going to take the safe shot that we used to always take with the Mosin, since this video is about doing things like we did at the beginning of 2019. So once he goes broadside, we can try to get a shot. And, I mean, most of the time we wouldn't even take shots this long, but because of the new scoring system, we're actually able to. And this guy is just being very stubborn. And that should be a good shot. It looks like he's going down, so I think we should be okay. But back when we used to use the Mosin a lot, there really was no long-range shooting for the most part, because you needed to make sure that you dropped them quickly in order to get full quick kill bonus, which back then, that actually really affected the score of your trophy. And if you didn't get full quick kill, there was a good chance that a diamond would end up scoring gold because it lost a lot of points from running too far. And I'm glad they eventually got rid of that system, but it made it so we couldn't really take risky shots. We had to make sure we could get the thing down really quickly, and I think that made us take more time on our trophies and truly take our time with diamonds and just make sure that we didn't screw them up. Nowadays, it's just you see a diamond, you hit the vitals, and you're good to go. But back then, it wasn't like that. And we did indeed get vital blood. I kind of figured we did since it was dying fast, but always like to be able to confirm it with that vital blood. We've got a few more blacktail around here, but he was really the only one worth taking, so not going to worry about the rest of them. Let's get a look at him to see if he's small or big rack. I think, yeah, it's definitely small rack. This actually might troll. There's actually a decent chance this could be a troll. So that's a little unfortunate, but I mean, the tip to tip doesn't look terrible. And it is just a gold, sadly, at 175.30. But that right there is actually a bit further forward than I aimed, so it's looking like the Mosin might still have that bug that's causing it to shoot to the right. It's a bit unfortunate, but we aimed right here at 300 meters. Right here was where we aimed, and it dropped to the right and down, so it still is shooting to the right and down of where you aim. That was the issue that it's had for a couple updates now, and it looks like it's still that way. But back when we used to use this loadout, it was extremely accurate, didn't have any issues at all, so we were able to make pretty much any shot. But unfortunately, this guy didn't quite make diamond. This guy may not be a big blacktail, but because he is giving us a pretty good shot at about the range we would normally take a deer with the Mosin back in 2019, I think we'll go ahead and take him out, because this used to be about the range that we would go for, and it always did super well on them. So let's go ahead and wait for him to lift his head up, then we'll go ahead and take him out. And I think, there we go. That should be good right there. But it always killed them extremely quick, which was why the Mosin was used so much for them. And although the Mosin doesn't drop them immediately, as you can see, they really don't run that far, and that's why it's still to this day is some people's favorite rifle for hunting the black-tailed deer and the white-tailed deer. There's still a lot of people that use the gun, even though it's got a lot of options that rival it and in a way make it not as good as it used to be. But there's still a very large portion of the community that likes the Mosin quite a bit, and I do break it out from time to time just to get a bit of feeling of how it used to be. Oh my gosh, well that right there is a level 5 moose. I decided to continue hunting on this server because the time switched over into blacktail time, and well, I haven't been able to find any good blacktail, but that is a level 5 moose right there. And I can't tell, but I think that might be a troll rack. It kind of looks like it, although I can't really see those brows, so it's hard to say. It's always interesting to see a giant moose like that right next to an extremely tiny moose, just to see the size difference between a small 3 and a 5. It's quite incredible. Now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to once again go for a heart shot on the moose, because that was always the way that we would do things with the moose, is try to get a heart shot, because it was the most reliable for getting them down quickly. And in most cases, it was easy to hit because they have very large hearts. So it's a very common thing to do. It still is the way that I do it, and a lot of people still go for it too, but back then that was like the only way that you could guarantee that things would go perfect on a moose, was by hitting a heart shot. And a lot of people would even use stuff like the Mosin, and when the 30-06 was added, they would also use the 30-06 to try and get those heart shots, and it always worked out pretty well. So, we finally got his attention, and now let's go ahead and get that heart shot. And that should be the end of that guy right there. Now, we're gonna need to get up closer before I can fully decide whether or not this guy is going to make diamond or not, because I couldn't really tell 100%, but it looks kind of like a troll to me. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I think it's a troll. I definitely think it is. If it is a troll, that'll be the second troll from this server, and looking at those brows, I think it is. I think it's a troll. It's either a troll or it's just barely going to make it. And it actually is a diamond, and it just barely made it. Like I was saying, 276. So I spent almost a year without getting a single diamond moose, and now we've had 2 diamond moose in like 4 days probably. That's crazy. That's super awesome though. He looks very different from our last diamond moose, which is nice. It's always good to get a little bit of variety in the trophy lodge so that they're not all the same. And that is just super cool. That's super awesome. I honestly figured this was going to be one of those videos where we didn't really shoot anything that big, since we're kind of just using a loadout for old time's sake, but we've actually found 2 max level animals. One of them trolled and one of them was just barely a diamond. But this is the type of shot that we always would go for, and with the moose I still go for it like I was saying, but the perfect heart shot where the heart's the only thing you hit was pretty common when using stuff like the Mosin and 30-06 on these moose. If I remember, the Mosin had sometimes had trouble with hitting the heart, but it's been so long since I've used it on them, I don't fully remember, but I believe that used to be kind of a thing. But it's still awesome that we got ourselves a giant diamond moose. So there's a whitetail feed zone out here, and there's actually a pretty decent buck in there too. He is 209 to 250. Wouldn't be a diamond, but that's still a pretty good one, and he's got a decent one right next to him too. Now, I want to try a couple different shots here, so we might shoot one and then wait for them to come back. But if I'm remembering correctly, you used to be able to have no issues doing broadside shots on whitetail with the Mosin. But something that a lot of people would go for to kind of make sure that you didn't have to risk the chance of them not dying fast enough was going for a neck shot or a spine shot when those were doable, but eventually Expansive Worlds made some changes to where spine shots were no longer viable, and eventually when the scoring system changed, they were just completely out of the question because it would ruin your trophy. But there was a time where spine shots were the way to go, but since we can't really do that now, we're just going to go for a neck shot if we can. But on this first guy, we're going to see how the Mosin does with double lung. I had to move over a bit because that was just not a great angle for a broadside shot on this guy, and now he's actually starting to move into a little bit of a better spot for me also, which is pretty nice. Let's see if we can just get a shot on him now. And that right there should be about as good of a shot as we can get, and we actually dropped that second one. I don't know how or like what we even hit, but it dropped him on the spot, and I'm pretty sure I saw a coyote too, or maybe it was just that rabbit. So this is the buck that we pretty much dropped on the spot, and it looks like it was non-vital, which means we probably hit spine. And yeah, we ended up hitting thoracic vertebrae and thoracic spinal cord. Now this used to be the way to go with pretty much everything, was just shooting it in the spine like that, because it dropped it quickly and you could guarantee diamond. But when they changed the scoring system, that was no longer a thing that you could do, as I was saying. But something that a lot of people don't know about when they swapped the scoring systems over is you can actually still see the quick kill of a trophy just by hovering over down here. And as you can see, single lung with the Mosin got 100% quick kill bonus, which is why the Mosin was widely used for deer species when it first came out, because it was just a very reliable weapon, and it was pretty accurate, did the job at pretty much any range. Just overall, a good choice for deer. Well, since this guy is right here, let's see if we can actually get him to face us and then try to get a hard shot with the Mosin, because I swear that it used to be doable and I haven't tried it in a long time, so I'm curious if it still can be done. That's not gonna help us one bit. Sir, you need to move. There we go. And yes, it does still work. So Mosin hard shots are still very much a doable thing on a moose. Unfortunately, the Mosin is not a gun that you can use on moose anymore because of the fact that you won't get full score because it's one class too low. But it's good to know that it still has it in it. It can still drop them. And that is just a beautiful sight. Vital blood from a Mosin hard shot. Man, it's been a long time since I've been able to do that. But yeah, as you can see, improper ammo for this animal because it only goes up to class 7 and the moose is a class 8. But it's cool to see that the Mosin can still do it. Really awesome. Well, that is actually a pretty awesome looking bull elk right there. It's a good size level 4. And we're going to try and get a little more broadside and then take it out with the 338. For the longest time, I actually didn't know that you could use the 338 on the elk back around 2019 when the Mosin and stuff like that released. I really didn't even realize that you could use it. I thought that it was the 7mm that was used on elk, and so for the longest time I just used that gun, and then one day I discovered that you could use the 338 and still get full score, and I was just absolutely blown away. I didn't realize that you could. I thought it was pretty much just for the moose, but turns out you could use it on the Roosevelt elk, and I'm glad that I eventually did find that out. And now look at us. We're at the point where we know pretty much everything about everything in this game. It's just crazy to see how far we've come over the years, but this guy just gives us a broadside. We will take the shot, and in fact, could even go for a neck shot right there. And I completely butchered that shot, unfortunately. Well, let's see if we can get a follow-up. And he actually did give us a good follow-up shot, so that's good. At least we didn't completely lose score on him. But back when this loadout was popular, that right there would have been a big no-no, messing up a shot like that. Even though we got him down pretty quickly after, we still would have lost score, and that would have been a major issue. But thankfully, that's not a thing anymore. And this guy right here will still get full score because we managed to get the second shot into the vitals. And this guy is a really good size elk. It's not going to be diamond, but it should score at least 340s. And yeah, 343. Very good bull elk. And first shot, just a little bit too far right. Second shot was a good right lung, liver, and stomach shot, which unfortunately didn't drop it on the spot, which I kind of expected it to. But it still didn't take too long to take it down. So I honestly don't know where we are going to put this moose, but I definitely want to put it somewhere in this lodge. Now, we've got these guys up here. These are ones that we got quite a long time ago. That guy's a 292, and that guy is a 307, so neither of these are going to get moved. And we got our brand new one. Oh, looks like I actually took it down for screenshots, so we will go ahead and place that back up here. But honestly, I think we could, if they fit here. No, they don't. Well, I honestly don't even know where we could put him then. I guess we'll search around a little bit. Alright, so what I ended up doing was I actually removed the 2 mule deer here and moved 2 of our gemsbok here. Then I moved a fallow deer OG Rack Diamond and put our other max score gemsbok right there, which made it so I had room for this new moose right here, and then I just moved this mule deer and the legacy fallow right there, and the one that we actually took down was a small piebald mule deer. I believe it was a level 3, so we finally have room for this guy, and I like the layout of this. It looks super good. And then in the background down the hall, you got that other diamond moose that we got a few days ago, so this area is looking really good. I really like the way this looks. And I think very soon I'm going to go over all of our lodges and kind of redo them a little bit. And then once I'm happy with how they look, we might do another lodge tour. I've been getting a lot of requests to have an updated lodge tour recently, so if I can get everything situated the way that I want it, we'll do another one, but I can't promise it'll be anytime soon. It might be a little ways down the road before it happens, but I will try to get everything in order for another lodge tour. But anyways, that was the only good trophy we had to show off today, and it is a pretty awesome one to get, with Diamond Moose being something we didn't get for a long time, and now we've been able to get two of them very close together. But if you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, click the like button, and ring that notification bell so that you guys will never miss a video. Also, be sure to comment down below with what type of loadout we should do in this series next, because there's a lot of them that have happened, and a lot of different changes that have happened over the years, and we've used so many different loadouts for so many different maps in so many different time periods. So if there's a loadout that you guys have, put it down in the comments below, and I will try to look through as many of them as I can and read as many of them as possible. And if I like your idea, then I'll pin it and we'll do it in another video. But with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!